Today, we are diving deeper into why you being humble is not a success strategy. Now, we might all agree that it's a good personality trait, but it is not helping you in business. Now, if you were here for part one, maybe you disagreed with me because I got a lot of backlash about it. But today, stick with me because we are diving deeper. Welcome back to Success Unscripted, where we cut through the fluff and figure out what it looks like for you to find success from the inside out. No filters, no BS, just raw conversation on what it looks like for you to step into your power and lead unapologetically. Now let's get into it. Okay, so I want us to look at the definition. I don't know if you've ever looked up the word humble, but let's go ahead and do that because words have meaning and that matters. So Webster's dictionary says humble is having a low or modest estimate of one's importance. Now, I want you to think about that. A low estimate of one's importance. Who came up with that and who made us think that we need to be humble? Now, if your boss, your partner, your friend, your audience, your clients felt a low estimation of you, how does that make you feel? Or how would you feel? That's not what we want. Yet we wear humble as a badge of honor as though that's how we're supposed to behave. We're not supposed to speak about our accomplishments. We're not supposed to brag. We're not supposed to do all of these things. Yet, when you think about the people that we revere the most, like our athletes, our people that we think highly of, I mean, have we ever heard Kobe be shy and humble? No. He was talking about his work ethic and he was speaking about his accomplishments. So let's go ahead and dive deeper into this topic because I'm excited for me to get you to start bragging on yourself in a way that feels comfortable for you. Okay? Now, I want you to sit back and think about why you use that word. How does that make you feel? Right? It probably makes you feel good because we've been taught it's like when we're humble, that makes people like us. Right? That makes people want to be around us. And when we brag on ourselves, that feels scary. It feels like, I don't know, are they going to believe me? Are they going to think I'm speaking too much? Are they going to think I'm arrogant? And this is not an episode about you being arrogant at all. This is about you sticking to the facts. This is about you being able to speak about yourself in a way that feels good and in a way that highlights all of the value that you bring to every conversation, to every room, and really doing it in a way that makes you feel good. So I want us to get real. We've all heard of this advice, right? It's like, keep your head down and let your work speak for itself. Okay. Our work is not a billboard and it doesn't speak for itself. And when we sit back and we wait for our work to speak for itself, we are going to be waiting for a long time. And we're going to be frustrated in the process. And so for entrepreneurs, or actually even if you're in an organization, I'm always like the best marketer wins. That person that will brag on themselves all the time and tell people what they're doing before it's even accomplished, those are the people that tend to get ahead. And we get frustrated sitting back thinking about what they're doing that we're not doing. And many times we're working even harder than them, but they're sitting back bragging on themselves. So we have to be able to promote ourselves in a way that makes us feel good and really highlights what we're bringing to the table. And so last time we spoke about making sure that we create a highlight reel for ourselves, right? Let's just stick to the facts. What did we accomplish this year? What have we accomplished every single month? Write down all of your accomplishments. So I want you to realize that your frustration and you thinking that people are ignoring you, it's not that people are ignoring you. It's that you are not telling them about what you are accomplishing. And so, listen, you're worried about your success. You're worried about how you how you move forward. So are they. If everybody's worried about their own success and trying to make sure, okay, how am I make sure I'm working hard? How do I make sure that I'm doing what I want to do? How do I make sure that I'm accomplishing my goals? How do I make sure that I'm accomplishing the success that I want? If everybody's focused on that, how are they also focused on you? And the only way you can make sure is by making sure that you are not humble, or making sure that you are not feeling bad about speaking about the facts and bragging on yourself. So what does bragging on yourself actually mean? Because I feel like a lot of my clients and a lot of the people that I work with, to hear that word brag is like, they automatically like feel something in their body. They're like, no, I don't want to brag on myself. That feels like too much to them. And so if you are reacting to, no, I don't like bragging on myself, or yeah, I have no problem bragging on myself, I want you to realize that there's like a middle ground there, because you also don't want to be that person in the room that won't stop speaking about themselves. That's also going to repel people. So you're not bringing people to you if you're not speaking about your accomplishments, but then if you're always speaking about yourself, you're probably repelling people. So there's a middle ground there that I want us to really hone in on, right? And so I remember I saw Issa Rae speaking at an awards ceremony, and she was like, if you grew up in hip hop like her, like me, like our hip hop artists they're not afraid of bragging on themselves, right? I think Snoop Dogg said I think when he got the star on Hollywood Walk of Fame, like, I want to thank me for being me and for believing in me. And that is important, but we don't get there alone, right? We do have our teams and we do have people that we lean on. And so I think that I find it easier for me to talk about my accomplishments and talk about the facts when I also bring in other people, when I also bring in and invite other people to tell me, okay, well, what have you done great lately? And to me, it just feels more comfortable when I'm inviting people to the conversation. So it's not solely about me. It is about bringing others into the conversation. And like I said, I think it's all about facts and it's all about being prepared. And so for me, when I say things like, I ran a $4 billion sales organization, that's just a fact, right? I'm not bragging about anything. And I did it remotely. Those are just facts. And so the more I can really get that, and it wasn't always like that, right? I had to get that script and that vernacular together, so in a way that made me feel comfortable, where I'm just talking about facts, where I'm just talking about what I've accomplished and what I've done and the things that I'm proud of. And what is that for you? What's your intro? Do you even have that down packed, right? I think it'll feel easier when you think about, okay, what have I accomplished? Who do I serve? What brings me joy? And add that into your intro. It makes it a lot easier for you to speak about yourself, and people know, oh, okay, she led sales teams. Oh, she talks about leadership, because I say it right away in my intro. And it also adds credibility onto what I've did. So I not only, I was in corporate for, 2 decades, but then I also led sales teams, and I led them remotely, and we brought in $4 billion a year. So now you're getting the picture of, okay, it wasn't only 2 decades in corporate. Now you have a real idea of what I did in my background. And then we can get into what I do now. So it's really about you preparing yourself to have that opening line, for you to be able to understand, what is it that I want people to know about me? What is it that I want people to feel when I leave the room? And so when you prepare yourself that way, then it becomes a lot easier to speak about all of the things that you have accomplished. But I think when you think about us and how our body reacts, why does that happen? Why is it that bragging on yourself feels so uncomfortable? And our brain automatically, when you think about all the compliments that you get, I was just speaking with a client the other day, and it was like they say so many great things about her, but of course, the only things that stuck out were like the two pieces of feedback that she received that wasn't good. And I think many of us are like that, right? We'll get all of these compliments and all of these accolades, but the two things that we didn't like that were said to us, that's what kind of stays in our head. And so, how do we make sure we reprogram that? Because that's why we're holding back. That's why many of us hold back, is because we are afraid of the backlash. We're afraid of what we think other people might be thinking. And so, I'll give you an example. So, when I first became an entrepreneur, I had been in corporate for many years and I had been doing really well. Now, nobody really knew what I did because it didn't really matter, right? And so I didn't really, my friends, my family, they knew I did well, but they didn't know what I did. And so when I decided that I was going to branch off and become an entrepreneur and speak on Instagram and do all of those things, it was frightening. Even though I did all those things in corporate, now I'm doing it in another space. So automatically, who's judging me? What are they going to think? All of those things went through my mind. And I remember people, like, Instagram tells on you. They'll be like, oh, Jessica started a new Instagram page. And so people would say, oh my gosh, I saw your page. Or I would see people liking the things that I'm putting up, and I would cringe for myself, like, oh my God, are they going to think she doesn't even know what she's talking about? They didn't even know I was in sales for, 2 decades. They didn't even know really that I was bringing in $4 billion, that I was doing multi-million-dollar acquisitions. And so that fear started setting in. But I remember, and I could think about it now and I feel it in my body. And I remember thinking, it's fine, it's okay. Like, let them think whatever they think. But 9 out of 10 times, the people that I was worried about the most, or think, oh my God, they're going to judge me, those are the people that came back and said, wow, I saw your other page, you're killing it. I love what you spoke about. And they would give me the feedback that I needed to really release it. Now, instead of me trying to convince myself, it's fine, they would come back and tell me they were proud of me. Or, wow, I can't believe you're doing that. Oh, I didn't know you did that. And it really helped me think like this. This is what I would be thinking to myself, or this is how I reframed it, is how would I feel if I saw somebody else taking a leap? I would be so proud of them. I would be so excited for them. So why am I thinking that people are not going to be proud of me or give me, want me to succeed? So I want you to reframe it that way the next time you're just like, oh no, I don't know if someone, is going to be judging me. I want you to think about, how would you feel if someone else did what you were doing? Would you be excited for them? Most likely you would be. And so you want people to brag on themselves. What's crazy about being humble and not wanting to brag is that many times we have no problem talking about how great somebody else is doing, yet we have a problem speaking about how great we are doing and the things that we are doing. So I want that to kind of set in a little bit. I know I work with a lot of high-achieving leaders, C-suite executives, entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things, and them speaking about other people feels like not a problem. I can tell you everything somebody else is doing. But when it comes to speaking about themselves, they hesitate. They're like, oh, they don't want to know about that. Oh, nobody cares about that. Yet you could be inspiring someone. And what I find even more interesting is that people who, entrepreneurs who own small businesses, they're used to putting their business in the front, like their business brand, but they don't want to speak about themselves and their own accomplishments. So I have many conversations around, imagine who you could be inspiring. People that look just like you. And representation matters. It matters. And it goes a long way. And so research shows that when you speak about your wins, we actually get a dopamine hit. Now, I know it can feel like scary, but when that scariness sometimes is excitement. And you do get a dopamine hit when you speak about your wins. I think the problem is you're waiting for someone else to be as excited as you are. And if you don't get the reaction that you want, then that dopamine hit kind of goes away. So, You can do some mirror work and practice by telling yourself in the mirror how proud you are. So just imagine doing that. It could feel a little bit weird in the beginning, but trust me, that mirror work does help. So today I want to challenge you to look in the mirror and speak to yourself in the first person, so by name, or in the third person. I don't know how that goes. Somebody correct me. But speak to yourself, and you would say something like, Jessica, I am so proud of you for, and you fill in the blank. If you want to really challenge yourself, do it 3 times in that day and do 3 different things, and do it for 7 days straight and make it different every single time. And start pumping yourself up. Because many times we're waiting for somebody else to give us the validation that we need to give ourselves. And that's where true power lies, when we no longer need someone else to validate what we are doing. I mean, that's really the true confidence mindset, is being okay with no one else giving you that pat on the back, because you know that you're bringing value to every room you're stepping into, because you know the work you're doing is important, because you know you're helping the organization, you're helping your team, you're helping yourself. And so that's where a real confidence, true confidence mindset comes from. And I'm not saying that you're never going to need validation from people, because I know people's like, I don't care what anybody else says. I don't know if that's true. We do care what people say. Maybe sometimes a little too much, but it does feel good when someone else is also rooting for you. So let me know if you take on that challenge, because it will definitely help. So let's go back to making sure that you're just speaking about the facts. So I mentioned we're going to create what I call a highlight reel. It's really just a document. You're writing down all of the great things and how you are adding value, not what you're doing, but how you are making impact and adding value. So it's March, almost the end of Q1. So you should have written down January and February and March. And if you haven't done that, do that now. Stick to the facts. How are you creating value, and what impact are you making? And this is for everybody, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are in an organization. This is for everyone. If you're in an organization, this will make your life a lot easier when it comes to mid-years and year-end reviews. So go ahead and do that. Talk about how proud you are of yourself and what you are actually accomplishing. Okay? Now, I want to give you this other challenge. I want you to record yourself. Record your wins. Now, when we say them audibly in the mirror, that's one thing. And when we record ourselves, that's another thing. And when we make it public, now that's where we really can challenge ourselves if we're not used to doing it. And even if we are, it could still feel uncomfortable. So over here, if we're thinking about success, success does not happen in the comfort zone. So I want to challenge you to record yourself and put it on your social media. What wins are you having lately? What are you proud of yourself for? And then, of course, tag me and let me know, or send it to me on a DM, because I want us to really normalize talking good about ourselves. What's crazy is that when you really think about it, us saying, oh my God, I'm my own worst critic. How is that normal? Yet bragging on ourselves isn't. How does that make sense? And when you think about the fact, okay, let's think about when it could be used for evil, I guess. When you think about Elizabeth Holmes, who is a tech founder who is in prison right now because of all the nefarious things that she did. She got VC funding. She got a bunch of things. Bernie Madoff, all of these things. Why? Because they believed in the BS that they were telling people. So much so that they convinced others that they were telling the truth. So if they could do that about a lie, why can't you do it about the truth? Why can't you do it about what you are truly doing, the value and the impact that you're making? I want you to think about that. Let that freaking sit in. So I want you to go ahead and record yourself. Tell me, tell the world, record it and send it, even if you're just going to send it to your friends and your family members in the group chat. Why don't you do it for yourself and then model what that looks like to brag on yourself in a way that feels really good to you, where you're only talking about the facts, where you're really talking about the value and the impact that you're making. I want us to start normalizing that, yeah, it's okay to be our own cheerleader, and it's not okay to be our own worst critic. So the moral of the story here is that I want you to have an agenda. Someone said to me the other day, not to me actually, someone said about me, that they weren't, I don't know how they said it. I don't know if it was like they weren't feeling me or they didn't like me because they felt like I had an agenda. Yeah, that's the point here. I want everybody to have an agenda. Now listen, we all have an agenda anyway, but I want us to make sure that we understand what our agenda is. Your agenda is to show up unapologetically as yourself, and to lead you and to lead others in a way that feels good, that we're talking about the wins, that you're asking others to tell them about their wins, to tell you about their wins. Right? Let's start normalizing this, because us talking bad about each other or pointing out the negative aspects, it's like when somebody tells you, oh, you have a pimple on your face. Yeah, I know. I saw that this morning. I don't need you to remind me. I need you to remind me of how great I am. I feel like that's my job. That's my job for my friends, for everybody around me, is to remind you of the dope things that you're doing, because you already have that judge in your head. So I don't need to be there for you. What I need to do is to remind you of all the dope things you are doing so that you can get out of your head. Now, of course, yeah, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you out in the best way possible. I'm going to make sure that we're in reality and that we're checking ourselves, but I'm going to do it in a way that is going to lift you up, not bring you down. And I want that for everybody. And I want you to do that for you first. So today, if you disagree with me, let me know. Let me know. I want us to talk about this, because the goal here is for you to step into your power on all levels. This is Success Unscripted, where we don't play small and we definitely do not confuse hiding with humility. I'll see you next time. Talk soon. Bye.